All right, good evening. Welcome back to Beef Brady's here in Stark, right off US 301, across the street from Bradford High School. A little bit of a different venue tonight. We're back on the patio where we were for our first show about 6 weeks ago. We've been kind of relocated tonight from our normal spot there in the party room, but they had something else going on tonight, so that's fine. Nice night out. So, we don't have live PD going on tonight, though.
I'm so disappointed.
It's quiet tonight.
Last time we were out here, there was
Constant.
like 8 or 9 cops
It's
going up and
constant.
down the strip,
Yeah.
and haven't seen one cop.
Yeah, yeah, but not quite as busy tonight here in Stark with that as well. But this is the college football gridiron report, North Florida college football gridiron report here in North Florida Sports Talk. I am Marty Pallman. He is Corey Davis. We welcome you to another episode here. And, Corey, it's been another big week in college football. Some great games Saturday night especially. Those two games like Alabama, Georgia, and Penn State and Oregon it didn't start off the way at Penn State and Oregon. They got 2.5, 3 quarters, but Penn State came on late. It ended up being a thriller. And the Alabama Georgia game, I can't believe Alabama won. It didn't score at all in the second half. All 24 of their points were in the first half, and they held on in the second half to beat Georgia.
Well, Georgia never led, too.
No.
Alabama kept giving them chances to
Yeah.
take control of the game. And it was the first time Georgia had not led in a game since like 2016.
Had not led in a game since like 2016.
I didn't realize that. That's a good
Yeah. But that'll be some of the games we'll talk about as the week goes on. As we start with our look at last week, down goes 3, 4, 5, and 8. Yes, Penn State number 3 loses to Oregon. Number 4 LSU loses to Ole Miss on the road. Number 5 Georgia loses to Alabama, and number 8 FSU. We'll start there. I'm kicking myself a little. I am kicking myself this week. I really wanted to take Virginia in this game. I really did. I didn't. We'll talk about our picks later, but that's one Corey picked up this week. But how about this game though? 30 years ago, work done was stopped short of the goal line. Everybody remembers this. Virginia beating FSU. They ended FSU's ACC winning streaks from the first game they played back in 1995. It happens again on Friday night. And once again, they stormed the field in Charlottesville. And this time, what a game that was, back and forth. Virginia led most of the game. Florida State came back. And, there were some close calls in overtime. That touchdown that was bobbled, I thought, got called back. But Virginia gets the win. They get an interception in double OT to win 46-38.
Yeah, I was at Newberry Friday night, and when the game finally ended, I parked. Newberry, the high school, behind it is like a neighborhood, right?
That's right, yeah.
So I parked on one of the roads of the neighborhood. So when I got back to my car, I noticed some of the people in the neighborhood were watching the game. They were watching their game on the laptop, on the back of their truck, because outside they were having like a party.
Yeah. Outside the stadium, right at school.
And I was like, hey, I mean, literally, like across the street from the high school, it's a neighborhood.
So you check that out?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, what are y'all watching? They're like, oh, we're watching the FSU game. Come join us. So I quickly watched it, watched a couple plays. It was the controversial play in the end zone, not the interception, but when they scored the touchdown.
Yeah.
It took forever to review that call.
Yeah, that's right.
And it looked clear as day that he scored. Well, then I had to leave, and I had to go write my story. So I was listening to the game on satellite, and I heard the ending. But yeah, I mean, I just had a feeling it happened to work done. Virginia's pretty good, and it's like the guys on the Sirius Radio said, when Virginia's winning, that's a tough place to play.
Sorry, the Dodgers right fielder literally just dropped an easy fly ball right to him. It was pretty similar. It's funny how it was. The Virginia fans were a little rough, though, giving the finger to old Tommy Castellanos. Since you saw they're going to obviously have to pay a fine there, but they don't care, I'm sure, for that win. But
it's only in the ACC. It's only like 50,000.
Yeah, in the SEC, it's what, 250?
No, I think 500.
It's 500, yeah. But
yeah, because they fined Mississippi State 500,000.
Arizona State.
Maybe because they tore down the goalpost.
Was that the Arizona State game?
No, that was the
Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, in Tennessee.
They lost to Tennessee.
Maybe it was Arizona State.
Yeah, they lost to Tennessee, but yeah. Um, you mentioned Alabama and Georgia. Not only was it, as you said, Georgia didn't lead a game for the first time since 2016. That was their first loss at home in 6 years. They did 33 home game winning streak. The last time they lost, amazingly enough, was to South Carolina, 20-17 in 2 overtimes in 2019. Alabama wins 24-21 at Georgia. Seems like Alabama's turned it around after that week 1 loss to FSU.
And
They've
this
been a
is what I
completely different
told
team.
you. This is a different team since that loss. You know, everybody says, "Oh, well, Wisconsin got 2 losses, had
Yeah.
a backup quarterback." That Wisconsin team was pretty good.
They didn't look good against Maryland the following week, but yeah. But you're right. I just kind of figured Georgia at home would be good enough. Georgia's looked okay to this point.
By the way, was that Spurrier? 2019?
No, he was gone in like 2015.
Oh, okay.
That was probably Will Muschamp, actually, in that game. But yeah, it was an interesting game. It really was. And the funny thing is, really what I should have paid attention to is the fact that Kirby Smart is 1-7 against Alabama. Georgia cannot beat Alabama.
That was another reason why I picked Alabama.
But I thought
Alabama
this year,
owns Georgia.
But I thought this year Georgia was just definitely better than Alabama. But the only time Georgia has beaten Alabama in the last 10 years was when they played for the national title in 2021. Georgia won that game. Other than that, Alabama has just completely dominated. But so Alabama gets the win. Looks like that'll keep everyone off Kalen DeBoer's case for a little while.
Oh, and another thing too is, remember, the Tide can't win on the road. Well, I guess they proved they can win on the road.
Well, I think you kind of base off that FSU game, but this team has clearly turned the corner since then. I mean, obviously, they played a terrible game against FSU. And I think we knew FSU wasn't as good as that game. And sure enough, we've seen that as well against Virginia. And now, speaking of that, FSU has the Hurricanes coming in this week. So they got to figure out a way to not lose 2 in a row, and that'll be the Saturday night game. We'll talk about that later in our picks as well. But on the other side, there is the Vanderbilt Commodores. How about them? 5-0 for the first time since 2008. Diego Pavia, 5 touchdowns. Vanderbilt wins 55-35 over Utah State. I think the first time in 70 years or more they had back-to-back 50-point games.
Mm-hmm.
Pavia threw for 321 yards, 26-34. The second Vandy quarterback to collect 6+ touchdowns since 1996. Tied the program single-game passing record set by Johnny McCrary in 2014. This name you'll know, Jay Cutler, 2005. And Bill Wade way back in 1950. Vanderbilt's rolling.
Well, we'll see if they're for real this week.
Roll Tide this week, yeah.
And they go to Alabama. Last year they got them at home.
And you know Alabama's going to be ready for that after that game last year. Right? There's going to be revenge on their mind. That's the ABC game on Saturday, 3:30. Not Florida, Texas. Vanderbilt at Alabama is the big SEC game on Saturday afternoon this week. But Vanderbilt gets the win over Utah State. On the other side, what were we thinking picking Arkansas? It's Notre Dame. Ouch.
Poor Bacon bitch.
Watching that game. 56-13, they lost to Notre Dame at home. This was never close. And sure enough, the next day, the axe came down on Sam Pittman. 2-3 start, 32-34 overall, but his SEC record of 6 seasons, only 14-29. And then you lose at home by 43 points to Notre Dame. That was it. Guess who takes over? Former Arkansas and Louisville coach and Arkansas offensive coordinator currently, Bobby Petrino is the interim coach. How things come full circle. This guy got let go because of the whole controversy. I think back in 2011, 12. It's been a while. And he's back after a long trip to different places. But that's the 4th team to fire their coach. UCLA, Virginia Tech, and Oklahoma State have already fired a coach this year. And Petrino immediately fired 3 defensive coaches, including the defensive coordinator. So,
yeah. When I saw that, I was like, well, somebody's got to be the scapegoat, too. And if he wants to keep his job, then he's got to turn around and fire someone else.
That's already
Speaking of firing, former Florida, Georgia, Mississippi State, and Louisville defensive coordinator Todd Grantham was fired.
Yeah. 4 games in to a stint Oklahoma State. I mean, Mike Gundy was fired the week before, so I guess that kind of makes sense. But they gave up 612 yards and lost to Baylor on Saturday, 45-27. They gave up 69 points to Oregon a few weeks ago. They lost to Tulsa. It's a mess right now. But he's already been at Florida, Georgia, Mississippi State, Louisville. So and hasn't really done well in any of those places. Actually, he wasn't bad at Georgia for a little while and at Louisville. But he definitely struggled at Florida. So Oklahoma State's got problems. They may not win a game for a while. as Todd Grantham gets fired 4 games in. Arkansas, I'm interested to see if they make Bobby Petrino the permanent coach, but I understand there are some other uh, people they're looking at. But it would kind of make sense just to make him the head coach. But we'll see as the season goes on there. All right, taking a look back at last week's games. Friday night, we mentioned Virginia 46, number 8 FSU 38 in double overtime. Virginia gets the interception to stun FSU. Virginia 4-1, FSU now 3-1. Another good game on Friday night. TCU gets their first loss of the season, traveling to Arizona State. Number 24 TCU loses 27-24 on a last-second field goal. So Arizona State now 2-0 in the Big 12, 4-1. They only lost to Mississippi State. And TCU falls to 3-1, 0-1. Another good Big 12 game there. We got a lot of those already this year. Very competitive conference.
I actually got home enough to watch the Arizona State game and the next game. I pulled up as Arizona State was kicking the field goal. But yeah, great game. Big 12 was so wide open.
Yeah, it really is.
Texas Tech, Arizona State. I would still throw TCU in the mix.
Maybe see if Utah comes back. They got blown out
Utah,
by Texas Tech. Yeah. BYU. Yeah, who I think didn't the BYU come back and beat Colorado?
They did.
Oh, they did. Okay, because I stopped watching it.
1:30.
Yeah, I was not awake anymore to see that. But
Marty was in his recliner.
No, I was in my bed. But anyway, Colorado. I'd watched a lot of football on Saturday already, and I was like, I can't make it through this game. Colorado, I think, when I was watching it, I thought they were up 14-0 early in that game. So BYU, I see them down here. They won 24-21. We'll talk about that in a moment. And also on Friday night, man, Oregon State nearly got their first win. Houston was down 24-10 with 6 minutes left. Comes back and gets a walk-off field goal in overtime to beat Oregon State 27-24. Houston stays unbeaten. Oregon State stays winless. Boy, that's a little bit of a surprise there.
Yeah, Oregon State should play Oklahoma State. Somebody will get their first win. As I said, I watched.
I would think Oregon State would.
Yeah.
This, right?
It's crazy how, because they used to be a team that would go to bowl every year. They were competitive. And 0-5. I mean, just like Oklahoma State. I mean, just like who would have thought? Who would have thought? Would be struggling so bad. Of course, Saturday we opened up with the noon Georgia Tech.
Speaking of sweating in it, whew, man, that was something. And that
30-29 over Wake Forest. And for the second straight or 2 or 3 games, they had to run the field goal team onto the field. No timeouts left. And it worked again. They got the big field goal. They were down 17.
Yeah, I hate that too because anything could happen. Bad snap, you can block it. Luckily their kicker is one of the best in the nation. He can definitely make that. But yeah, that isn't really the fact of the matter is Georgia Tech was down 20-3 in this game. They looked terrible in the first half. Then they woke up, and then Wake Forest in overtime. Tech scores a touchdown. Wake Forest comes back, scores a touchdown, goes for 2, doesn't get it. So that's how Tech wins 30-29. But Georgia Tech 5-0, 2-0 in the ACC. Wake Forest 2-2, 0-2. Tough loss for the Demon Deacons. They played pretty well. The stat I saw was interesting with Brent Key. If you're talking about him as maybe a Florida option at some point, at Georgia Tech, he's 8-1 against ranked teams, and in the ACC, and 8-8 against unranked teams. It's strange how Georgia Tech gets up for those ranked teams, but not so much for the unranked. Well, it's
the stat they put up in the Georgia game. Kirby is 119 and something against everybody else besides Alabama.
8 or something, or 1-7 against Alabama. Yeah, that's true. That's weird like that. But so Georgia Tech gets the win. They do get the win against Wake Forest to stay unbeaten, and their chances at the college football playoff still are alive. They have a bye this week. I got to check that. But Notre Dame, mentioned that. They've won 2 in a row since their 0-2 start. Thank you. No problem at all with the Arkansas Razorbacks. Poor Bacon Bits falls to 2-3. Notre Dame 2-2. 56-13. They scored 28 points in the second quarter to Notre Dame to put the game away. It was over by halftime. This was a really good ball game. Another noon game on Saturday. Illinois and USC, the big noon Saturday game. Illinois rebounds from that Indiana beatdown. USC had to go east, the Midwest. Get this. USC played Michigan State last week. at 11 p.m. Eastern.
They played
They played Illinois on Saturday
11
at 11 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. Central is when that game started in Champaign. And Illinois gets a field goal at the buzzer to win 34.
Yeah, I watched that game too.
I watched that game too.
You know, at 12 o'clock.
At
Well,
12
most
o'clock,
of these games, you know, you're
most of
kind of going back
you know,
and
you're
forth.
going
You're
back
going
and
with
forth. You're going with whatever game's competitive, and this was a very competitive.
Was it Notre Dame, Arkansas?
kind of
It
game?
was back and forth kind of
And,
game. And USC
USC is really
good.
good, but
What a
bounce back win for Illinois.
Yeah, it was 34-32. So Illinois is 1-1 in the Big Ten, 4-1 overall. USC 4-1 and 2-1 in conference play. Tennessee, this was a really good game too. Mississippi State gave them all they could. Mississippi State's a good team, but Tennessee breaks up a fourth down pass in the end zone in overtime. It wasn't overtime, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't.
That was overtime.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, that's what I thought. To give Mississippi State their first loss. Both teams are 4-1, 1-1, 41-34. Mississippi State again. They played with Tennessee this whole game.
Yeah, this was
Mississippi
other
State's
than Arizona
other
State.
than Arizona State. This was their first big test of the
Right.
season.
I
And
think
I think
judging
judging
by what I've heard on the
by what I've
SEC
heard on the
network,
SEC network, Mississippi State actually gained some respect from this
Yeah.
I
game.
heard a lot.
I heard a lot of people talking about how good
State
Mississippi State is, and
This is a sleeper.
this is a sleeper team. Actually,
They got a Texas A&M Saturday night. That's going to be interesting this week as well. A&M still unbeaten. And A&M, speaking of which, this was an ugly game on Saturday. A&M outgained Auburn by like 250 total yards, but it ended up being a 16-10 game. Auburn got a pick 6 in this game to keep them close. They had nothing going offensively. But A&M goes to 4-0, stays unbeaten, 1-0, their SEC opener. Auburn now 0-2 in the SEC, 3-2 overall, 16-10. A&M wins this game. This was not a pretty game to watch.
no. Needless to say, I didn't bother watching that game because
I don't like low scoring.
I don't like low-scoring games.
It's funny because some of my friends
Give me
just
some
wanna-
offense.
Give me some
Yeah,
offense.
I like that too. Some of my friends just want to watch defense, but I get bored about that too, honestly. But some defensive games are fine, but yeah. But A&M got that win. They were clearly better than Auburn. Number 17, Alabama 24. Number 5, Georgia 21. Alabama 3-1. That was their SEC opener. So 1-0. Georgia now 3-1 and 1-1 in conference play. Again, this was a game where Alabama came right out, went up 14-0. And Georgia made it 14-7. It went back and forth, 17-14. Bama scored right before halftime to make it 24-14. And then Georgia scored halfway through the third, and that was it. I mean, Georgia had that 4th and 1. My question here is, 4th and 1 to the 8-yard line. You're down 3. Why not just kick a field goal and tie the game?
Okay,
Because they never got the
Okay,
ball
so
back.
what I heard
all this week,
all this week was,
according to the
according to the expert,
the right play was
the right play was called.
Oh,
The formation.
Alabama lined
Lined up wrong.
Georgia lined up
Georgia lined up right.
that one guy just blew it up.
And
It came down to
It came down to the execution.
The guy just blew it up, the defensive player for Bama.
Well, they got lucky.
Well, they got lucky
Because they were in
actually
the wrong
because they were in the wrong
Mhm.
defensive formation.
Georgia
Georgia didn't execute on the play,
And Kirby was
and
asked,
Kirby was asked why not kick the field
It was
goal,
like it was 4th and 1.
and it was like it was
you know,
4th and 1.
If they stopped us, which
You know,
they
got
did,
the ball.
they got the ball
yard
at the
line or
10
less than
yard
10
line
yard
or
line.
less than 10 yard line.
You make them go 90
You
yards.
make them go 90 yards.
But to me, the play that
But
stands
to
out
me, the
besides
play
that
that stands out
was
besides
the little
that
dump pass.
was
to
the little
offensive
dump
line.
pass to the offensive lineman.
Oh my gosh. He trucked those guys. He ran over like 2 or 3 Georgia guys. That was fun to watch, really. And yeah, that's that was interesting too. This is an interesting game all around. But well, here's the other thing. I get that because Georgia, there was like 13 minutes left of the game too in Georgia. You think Georgia probably thinks we'll get down here again, but they didn't. They never got back down in the territory. And Alabama ran the clock out there late in the game. But yeah, I mean, I can understand that. And you're right. I thought they had the right play. There was nobody there. If he gets around that, it's a touchdown. But that one guy makes a great play for Bama, and that was the difference in the game. So Alabama gets the win. Oh, speaking of great plays, I got this game. Ole Miss, we haven't talked about this. Number 13, Ole Miss, they are 3-0 in the SEC. Best team in the SEC right now. Only team that's played 3 games. Knocking off LSU 24-19. LSU falls to 4-1, 1-1. Ole Miss 5-0, 3-0. Ole Miss led most of this game. But how about that 4th and 1 call late that Ole Miss made? Pass out to the 4th and 2. Lane Kiffin calls a short pass. I mean, guy's got some, you know what, cojones. and got to give him that. And it's LSU. Ole Miss is rolling right
Well, the
now.
problem with LSU is they got no running game right now. They can't. You can't be one dimensional.
It's hurting their quarterback.
Yeah, because you got to take pressure off of Nesson, and they traditionally LSU has been a run team, but they are having to rely on the passing game because the running game sucks right now.
Right. So, but Ole Miss, all kinds of things from that game, as you saw after the game, Lane Kiffin trolling Brian Kelly, with his comments from the Brian Kelly show on Thursday last week that they were going to keep the Magnolia State trophy, and he put that up on Twitter. And he also made the comments about his daughter. His daughter's dating one of the LSU Whit Weeks, their linebacker, and he made some comments after the game about that. I enjoy listening to Lane Kiffin. I mean, again, I would take him at Florida in a heartbeat. Also, the fact that he can coach. Again, they got a backup quarterback who's at Ferris State last year, Trinity Chambliss, who beat LSU. I mean, they're 3-0 with this guy. So at this point, I think he's their starter because I think they said Austin Simmons was healthy last week, and they went with Chambliss. So anyway,
yeah, they wanted to go in a different direction, give this guy a chance, and it obviously worked. He played well against LSU.
Yes, he did. And again, as I said, Ole Miss now 3-0 in the SEC, 5-0 overall, as the Rebels get the win there. Oregon-Penn State. Oregon, number 6, Oregon 30, number 3, Penn State 24 in double overtime. Again, James Franklin teams don't win these games. But this game was 3-3 at halftime. I was falling asleep watching it. And then in the third quarter, Oregon came out and kind of dominated, 17-3. All of a sudden, in the fourth quarter, it's like Penn State's offense changed. They started throwing down the field, and they got 2 touchdowns. And then we go to OT. Penn State scores, Oregon scores, and Drew Aller throws an interception in the second overtime, and that's it. So Oregon goes to 5-0 and 2-0 in the Big Ten. I like how you put the Beavers here. They're 3-1, 0-1. It probably should be the Beavers, but the Nittany Lions. But Penn State and the whiteout game, once again, they don't win it. It seems like this is just one of those games that James Franklin doesn't win. They just don't win these games at Penn State.
Well, what is it, Kirby?
Yeah.
They said forever Kirby couldn't win the big game. Well, now it's James Franklin. James Franklin, when's the last time they beat Ohio State?
Yeah.
Which is the game they normally had the whiteout game against.
Right.
But he doesn't do well in the big games.
No, he really doesn't. And that's hurt Penn State. I mean, and the same thing for Drew Aller. Drew Aller plays, I mean, you saw it against Notre Dame last year in the semifinals of the playoff. He threw a late pick at midfield. Notre Dame won that game. So, yeah, it's he does make some throws that kind of hurt them. How about Virginia Tech coming in with an interim coach, going into NC State, who was only had 1 loss so far this season. Virginia Tech wins 23-21. I like it. Former Ed White and Trinity star Christian Ellis, who is a son of a guy we know well, Andre Ellis. But, how about that? I saw he had quite a game there against NC State.
The Wolfpack threw a 4th down pass to the left side of the field. Christian came over. Questionable pass interference call potentially on the play. And Christian's able to knock the ball away.
Hope Andre's not listening when you say that. But, yeah, see.
Yes, it could have been pass interference, Andre.
Yeah, but I understand, but it was a good play, good defensive play overall. But Virginia Tech was only 1-3 coming in, so they get a win in their ACC opener. They're 1-0 in the ACC. NC State 3-2 and 1-1. And once again, it proves that anybody in the ACC can pretty much beat anybody else. It seems like as Virginia Tech gets that win. But good play by Christian Ellis. South Carolina, man, Kentucky is struggling. South Carolina down 10-7 after the first quarter. 21-0. They outscored Kentucky in the second quarter. South Carolina needed this win. They had lost 2 in a row. So Kentucky falls to 2-2, 0-2. South Carolina 3-2 and 1-2 in the SEC. 35-13 the final for the Gamecocks. Easy win for them.
Yeah, big win for the Gamecocks. Like you said, they desperately needed that win with tougher games coming up. And, it's always nice to get your first conference win for Kentucky,
Yeah.
They lost to Ole Miss.
They lost to Ole Miss, and then they lose to South Carolina. This is a close game.
South Carolina scored 21.
South Carolina scored 21, outscored 21 in the second quarter.
And the reward for that?
This is another game that Kentucky could have won.
This is another game that Kentucky could have won.
And a reward for Kentucky this week is to go to Georgia, who's going to be happy after the Alabama loss. That's the noon game on Saturday, too. Kentucky at Georgia. So, but yeah, tough loss for them. And as you mentioned, BYU, you stayed up and watched this game. I couldn't make it. BYU 24. The day it started at noon, watching Georgia Tech and USC, but and then I had NFL Sunday as well. But 24-21, BYU comes back. They pick off a pass to seal the win. They're still unbeaten 4-0. Colorado struggling now at 2-3, but they gave BYU a good game there on Saturday night at home.
Yeah, I was fighting it.
Yeah,
Come on,
I was fighting it. I was like, come on, hurry up and end this game.
Yeah, the game started like
trying to
10.
finish this.
It was a pretty late start.
Yeah, and it was the only game on.
Yeah, and it was the only game
Yeah, it
on.
was the Big 12 after
10
dark,
o'clock.
basically.
Unless there was games finishing up.
Yeah.
Unless there was games finishing up.
Only game to start.
But it was the only game to start.
Other scores last week as we move on from that. Number 20, Missouri, quite another big win for them. 42-6 over UMass, kind of like that win earlier in the year they had against Eastern Kentucky, or what it was. Missouri, I don't know.
We talked about.
We talked about this,
and someone said it this past week.
On Sirius Radio I was listening to.
I knew they played the first 5. At home.
I knew they played the first
But
5
they don't go
at
on the
home.
road.
But they don't go on the road
17.
until October 17th.
No, they have 19. A couple days ago.
No, they have
said 19.
a couple
more
days
days
ago,
before.
they said 19
And they
more
go to
days
Auburn.
before. And they go to Auburn.
Who's not one of the better
Who
teams in the
did
league.
that schedule?
Who did that?
Eli Drinkwitz? I don't know. Maybe. It's an interesting schedule. Well, it's kind of like Miami doesn't go out of the state of Florida till November. I mean, they're playing their first road game this week at Florida State. They don't leave the state of Florida. I think they go to play at Pitt or SMU, I think, is their first road game. Anyway, yeah, but Missouri gets the win 42-6. They're 5-0. Their schedule is going to pick up soon, I hope. Vanderbilt, as we said, they're 5-0, 55-35 over Utah State. Number 18, Vanderbilt wins that. Number 14, Iowa State. I think it was just 39-14. I don't see what Arizona or something like that. But Iowa State, that's all right. They're still unbeaten, playing well. They rolled past Arizona, who had been undefeated coming in. Iowa State 5-0. Saw some of that game too later on Saturday. Indiana, they had a struggle with Iowa. I will tell you, they play teams tough. They just don't score enough points to win. And Indiana scored late to win 20-15. The Hoosiers are 5-0, 2-0 in the Big Ten. And then this game was ugly. It was 7-3 at halftime. But in the second half, Ohio State pulls away at Washington for a 24-6 win. The number 1 Buckeyes are 4-0. That was their Big Ten opener. Washington falls to 3-1, 0-1. It just wasn't – Washington just couldn't do anything offensively. Ohio State's defense is really good, but Ohio State kind of they're not a lot of fun to watch. I mean, that Texas game earlier in the year was like that, but they're winning. The Buckeyes are.
Yeah, they're not blowing teams out. Even the Texas game was close. I think
14-7. Yeah.
They're not winning pretty, but they're getting the job done.
Right, that's true. And I think they play Minnesota this week. But one thing I did like, and again, I'm getting used to the CBS Big Ten, but I'm like, why is CBS doing a game in Washington? But man, there's some great shots. That was an afternoon game. That's such a beautiful place there. Puget Sound around Washington, Husky Stadium there. That's a place I kind of like to go sometime to see the city and maybe a game there.
Yeah, kind of like Tennessee. They're both on the river.
Yeah, kind of like Tennessee.
Yeah.
People go to the games in their boats. It's a pretty cool setup.
Yeah, the Tennessee River there in Knoxville, as you said, as well. Minnesota beat Rutgers 31-28. Gophers are 3-1. Rutgers 3-2. Whoa, this was a big one too. Syracuse coming off their win at Clemson comes home and gets plastered by Duke 38-3. Blue Devils are 2-0 in the ACC, 3-2 overall. Syracuse falls to 3-2 and 1-1. Ouch! That's a rough score at the Carrier Dome for the Orange.
Yeah, not much to say about that one.
That one.
Syracuse played at home too.
Syracuse played first.
Yeah, Carrier Dome, right. Louisville, they were down early. This game rallied to beat Pitt 34-27. Louisville stays unbeaten, 4-0 and 1-0. That was their ACC opener. Pitt falls to 2-2, 0-1. Cincinnati wins a barn burner, 37-34 against Kansas in the Big 12. Cincy goes to 3-1. Kansas falls to 3-2. This was a good one. Cal scored late to win at Boston College, 28-24. So Cal wins their ACC opener, 4-1, 1-0 in conference. Boston College now 1-3 and 0-2. And ouch, West Virginia. Utah was obviously pretty upset about the Texas Tech loss. They pound West Virginia 48-14. The Utes 4-1, 1-1 in the Big 12. West Virginia now 0-2 and 2-3 overall.
That one kind of surprised me. Not by Utah winning, but the score to win by 5 touchdowns was kind of surprising to me.
All right, before we look at this week's games coming up, let's tell you a little bit about Beef O'Brady's. I'll let Corey do this time.
Well, they got all kinds of specials. They have Oktoberfest right now. You get fried mushrooms for $10. Sideline twists, which are pretzels with spicy brown mustard for $9. Bacon blitz spud stack, $10. Free crispy potato skins topped with mashed potatoes, cheddar jack cheese, and smoked bacon. Wow, that sounds. Oh, and sour cream. You can add pulled pork for $4. That sounds really good.
It does.
Also, stadium brought with fries, $11. Beef beer cheese steak sandwich, $14. And I was told that is not a Philly cheesesteak, by the way. Bill Gold Pub Slider.
Not a Philly
cheesesteak. Beach patties, beer cheese, bacon, grilled onions, and honey mustard on a warm pretzel bun. And then for dessert, warm pretzel bun. Apple pie a la mode. Who doesn't like apple pie?
Shoot.
Warm slice of apple pie topped with vanilla ice cream and caramel sauce for $7.
Sounds really good. All that sounds good. All right. So, again, Beef O'Brady's 40 Years of Beefs, located right here on 301 at Stark, across from Bradford High School. Thanks for allowing us to do our show here. This is the North Florida College Football Gridiron Report. Marty, Pallman, Corey Davis. Where, again, we relocated outside tonight. You can see there's a giant TV on MLB Network behind Corey's head, checking out baseball, playoff baseball. But we were out in the front porch. Nice night here. I'm sure we'll return next week probably to the back room, but at least it was a good night to be out here. So
Talking baseball.
Fun time of year. Play at baseball. Last weekend, though, was great. Last weekend of the regular season in baseball, college football, NFL, the Ryder Cup, which I love. I love Ryder Cup golf, and that was interesting on Sundays.
Well,
there's a lot going on.
With you having the Cubs, the Braves, the Rays, the Cubs are in the playoffs.
Only one of them made the playoffs.
You will watch every series, regardless if the Cubs get eliminated. I, on the other hand, when the Yankees get eliminated, baseball's done. I may watch the World Series.
I do like baseball. I will watch baseball. You're right. I was watching Detroit and Cleveland last 2 days. I don't have any fan interest in those teams, but
what a game that was today. 1-1 in the eighth inning.
Two home runs for Cleveland.
For 6 or 8.
Five. They won 6-1. They had a solo homer and a 3-run homer in that inning and pulled away. So we're on the verge, by the way, as I said. The Reds are up 2-0 on the Dodgers in the third. If the Reds win that game, all those series will have deciding game threes tomorrow. Right now, you've got the Cubs and Padres. Padres won that today. They even the series. The Yankees went in exciting one tonight against the Red Sox. Probably the Yankees should have already won this series. They had a chance last night to win game one, but they have a chance to win the series tomorrow night at Yankee Stadium, and then Detroit and Cleveland play tomorrow in game three. But anyway, that's baseball. We're talking football here. And our picks are coming up. We'll take a look at our weekly picks. But right now, let's take a look at the schedule. One Thursday night game tomorrow night. There always is. This will be on CBS Sportsnet. Sam Houston 0-4. That's surprising. They're winless at 2-2 New Mexico State. And then you have a couple games Friday. Western Kentucky and Delaware, 4-1 and 3-1 there. And,
that's actually 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network.
And the Big 12 game at 10:30 on ESPN. West Virginia, a tough matchup again at 2-3, heads to the undefeated BYU, who's 4-0. That's Friday. Late game there at 10:30. I don't think I'll be seeing that one anyway.
There's 7 games on Friday.
Oh.
I didn't mention all of them, but Columbia and Princeton also play on Friday night.
Ivy League. There you go.
Rhode Island and Brown. Charlotte and South Florida.
Okay. South Florida probably will be favored there, I'm sure.
And New Mexico and San Jose State is the other game.
Okay. Saturday, of course, where most of the games are. We start Kentucky, Georgia, noon on ABC, noon on ESPN2. This will be a good one. 5-0 Iowa State at 3-1 Cincinnati. The noon game on Fox. Not sure if this will be a good one. With 2-2 Wisconsin at 3-1 Michigan. Michigan finally with a home game after being on the road at Oklahoma and Nebraska. Split those two. Boston College and Pitt, noon on ACC Network. Pitt 2-2, BC 1-3. First Service Academy game of the year. CBS will carry this game at noon. Navy off to a 4-0 start. Will host 1-3 Air Force. Noon on ESPN. Man, can Bill Belichick send Dabo Swinney to a 1-4 record? Clemson at North Carolina, 1-3 against 2-2.
that might be the biggest game of the noon games because the loser
It's out.
is going to be eliminated from the
Yeah.
ACC race. And what if that's Dabo? They want to see me leave?
Actually, North Carolina hasn't played an ACC game yet. This is their first game. Now, they don't have a
Sure.
shot at a playoff or anything. You're right. Clemson's 0-2, though. I've lost to Tech and to Syracuse. But, yeah, well, that'll be interesting, as you said. Noon on the Big Ten Network. Illinois back on the road at Purdue. Illinois 4-1, Purdue 2-2. The 1 o'clock CW game, Wake Forest 2-2, Virginia Tech 2-3. There's always a weekly ACC game now on CW every week. Notice. The 3:30 CBS game on Saturday. This could get ugly. 3-1 Penn State. I don't 1-4 UCLA. Penn State's got to go west, but Penn State's going to be fired up after that loss to Oregon. UCLA is bad.
That game was actually announced the week before. Because why else would you go to UCLA with them firing their coach, them not winning a game?
And I think they just got
maybe
blown
a
out
chance
again.
to see Penn State.
Yeah, they just got blown out again last week to UCLA after firing Deshaun Foster. Well, here's your 3:30 national game on ABC. 5-0 Vanderbilt at 3-1 Alabama. That's going to be, again, it's not often that Alabama needs revenge against Vanderbilt, but they're looking for it as they lost that game last year in Nashville. And that was a shocker at the time because Alabama came in unbeaten and Vanderbilt just took it to them. They led the whole game almost in that game, but Alabama with a chance of revenge. Yeah, if you had told me before the season that this game would be on ABC and Texas, Florida would be on ESPN, I would have taken that bet. But the two games obviously have flipped. Both Vandy and Bama are ranked. Vandy 16, Alabama is actually, I think it's the other way around. Alabama's in the top 10 again, close to that. But Texas and Florida, that will be the 3:30 game on ESPN. We haven't talked about the Gators yet. They've had a bye last week, but Gators back in action.
Idle beat them by 28. Idle beat them by 28.
28. Wow. That March is getting bigger and bigger every time I hear it. But, yeah, so Florida gets Texas. And first time Texas has come to the Swamp. 3:30 ESPN. It'll just be a nice day. It might rain in the 80s. Will Arch Manning win it? Will DJ Lagway win it? Who's going to play better on two quarterbacks that have really disappointed so far this year? But Texas also is coming in off a bye week as well into this game. We'll talk about it. I'm assuming this is in our picks, probably. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Okay. Notre Dame, they won 2 in a row. They've come back home to play Boise State, who's 3-1 on NBC. Interesting matchup there. The Big Ten Network 3:30. This is a good one. Washington 3-1 has to go cross country to play undefeated 4-0 Maryland. Washington coming off that loss to Ohio State. 3:30 ESPN2 ACC game. Virginia 4-1 at Louisville 4-0. This is a big game now with Virginia coming off the win over FSU and Louisville unbeaten still. 3:30 on ACC Network. Syracuse 3-2. They try to bounce back at SMU, who's kind of struggling to start the year. They're 2-2. 4 o'clock on SEC Network. I looked at this game and I'm like, why is this on SEC Network? And I forget Oklahoma's in the SEC. But it'll be Kent State at Oklahoma. Oklahoma warming up for Texas next week as they take on Kent State. Oklahoma still unbeaten at 4-0. 4 o'clock on FS1, Michigan State and Nebraska, both teams 3-1. Nebraska had only lost so far this year to Michigan. So that'll be the 4 o'clock. Michigan State's only lost to USC, so they both lost their Big Ten opener. Here's a good one, 7 o'clock on ESPN in the Big 12. Both teams 4-0. Texas Tech at Houston. So,
Yep, that'll be a big-time Big 12 game. The winner gets the inside track on taking first place in the Big 12 conference.
Also, in Orlando on Saturday night, UCF 3-1 hosts 3-2 Kansas. That'll be on ESPN2 at 7:30 for the Bounce House. Big 12 game. Of course, I forgot that almost there. 7:30 NBC game on Saturday night. Ohio State 4-0. They returned home to take on 3-1 Minnesota. Minnesota's only lost to Cal as but the big game, ABC 7:30 Saturday night. 4-0 Miami and 3-1 FSU.
It's one of the only times I actually root for them.
See, now with Miami being unbeaten and FSU with a loss, I'm probably going to root for FSU so they can get Miami out of there. If FSU had won last week and been unbeaten, I probably would have been with Miami. But it's going to be tough for FSU to win this game, but it's in Tallahassee, so we'll see on Saturday night. Miami's dominated this rivalry recently, but except last year. this will be a good one. 7:30 SEC Network. Mississippi State 4-1. Their first loss to Tennessee last week, and late A&M 4-0. Texas A&M 4-0. It's a good ball game. SEC Network. Mississippi State, though, they're going to need to show how good they are by going into Kyle Field and winning this game on Saturday night. Colorado and TCU 2-3. Colorado 3-1. TCU. That'll be the Fox game at 7:30, and then ACC After Dark on Saturday night 10:30. Cal home against Duke 3-2 and 4-1. Both teams won their ACC openers.
Yeah, Duke's 2-0 in the conference.
Right.
So if Duke's able to go to Cal and come on with the victory, that puts them 3-0. And who knows? The Blue Devils might win the ACC.
It is funny that there's an Atlantic Coast Conference game, and it's at 10:30 on the West Coast. So, gotta love that.
The last couple of weeks, we've had a couple of those games because teams have been going to Stanford or Cal.
Stanford or Cal, right? That's right. All right, so that is a look at the games this week. And the last thing we'll do, as we do every week, let's take a look at our picks before we send you into the rest of the week. Again, our reminder, you can watch our high school football gridiron show every Wednesday from 8 to 9 here on North Florida Sports Talk. Our college football show bringing it to you from 9 to 10. And again, we'll be with you the next couple of Wednesdays. In a few weeks, we'll do the show Monday. That'll be October 20th. Let's have a game on Wednesday the 22nd. So we will change it that week, but only that week, because everything else, every other time will most likely be on Wednesdays. All right, so we got a bunch of games again, don't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
I think 17,
16. Yep, looks like 17. You got it.
We had 17 last week, too. Marty, you went 8-9 last week.
8-9. Ouch.
Yeah, you were 43-31.
Mm.
I went 9-8, and I was behind you by 2 games, but when Alabama won and Oregon won, I passed you.
Oh, right, of course.
So I finished 9-8.
I didn't realize that was 8-9 though. So you are overall up how much?
2 games. 45. I'm 45
Close.
and 29. Yeah, it's
Boy,
still
tough.
anybody's.
Yeah, we're definitely having more success with the high school picks than the college, but it's early in the season yet. And by the way, I count 21 games here. I just did, but
21. Okay.
yeah, I just counted 21, but
Okay.
that's good. Okay, well that means we better get going because
All right, fire away. You're going first. Kentucky at Georgia.
actually there's 20. There's 20 games.
Okay.
Kentucky at Georgia. Yeah, I don't need a whole lot of time to pick this one. Georgia's going to come back from the loss to Alabama. Kentucky's struggling. Georgia wins at home.
All right. I can't disagree with you there. You know, the last couple of years, this might have been a competitive game because Kentucky's been pretty good, but
Not this year.
not this year.
Not so fast. So, yeah, we got both have Georgia there. Iowa State at Cincinnati. Again, Iowa State unbeaten. Cincinnati has 1 loss. This is a Big 12 game. I tell you, I like the way Iowa State's playing. I do. They look really good right now. They've been rolling through their first part of the season. I know this game's on the road, but I'll take Iowa State to win this game at Cincy.
You know, Cincinnati's only loss was that game against Nebraska at the Chief Stadium.
Arrowhead, right?
They led that game, and Nebraska came back to win that game. I think on a field goal. I think.
And they had a late. No, they were driving late through an interception in Cincinnati.
But with that said, I like the way the Cyclones are playing, especially on defense.
So Iowa State, okay.
Yeah.
Wisconsin and Michigan, Big Ten game. This is another noon Saturday game. I made the mistake of picking Wisconsin against Maryland a few weeks ago. I'm not going to do that again. Michigan seems to be playing pretty good football. Only the loss at Oklahoma right now, and I think they're back home. They win this game against Wisconsin.
I would like to pick Wisconsin, but I can't. But I'm going with Michigan.
Yeah, that's a tough one there as well. Here's a tough one as well. I have no idea here. Boston College at Pitt. BC losing to Cal last week. Pitt lost a close one to Louisville. Pitt played Louisville pretty tough. Led early in that game. This game will also be at Acrisure Stadium, the Steelers Stadium in Pittsburgh. So for that reason, and because I think Pitt played a good Louisville team hard, I'll take Pitt to win this game.
Can't disagree with you there. Boston College is playing horrible. Pitt seems to be playing pretty well. I'm going with Pitt too.
It's time for the battle of Bill Belichick against Dabo Swinney, Clemson and North Carolina. Both teams are hurting. Clemson 1-3, North Carolina 2-2. This again is a noon game on Saturday.
Is it too early to say this game, the loser is
Goes
on the
home.
hot seat?
No, I don't think it is at all. That being said, this game's in Chapel Hill, but I am not impressed with North Carolina. They've been blown out by TCU. They've been blown out by UCF. Clemson at least has been fairly close in every game. Nearly lost close to LSU and Georgia Tech. I know it's in Chapel Hill. I'm taking Clemson to win this game. I like Dabo's team to bounce back after a bye and win at UNC.
Not so fast. I'm going with the Tar
Belichick.
Heels. They're playing at home.
Yeah.
The Fighting Dabos are pulling a Clemson, as we always used to say. Clemson always chokes in the big games.
Okay.
They're horrible right now.
North Carolina is not good either.
Yeah,
Did you
but
see them play UCF?
North Carolina's a little better.
Are they? I don't know. I haven't been impressed with them at all. UCF blew them out pretty badly, but yeah, I mean, I think that's gonna be a good game though. Close game either way. So there's our first difference there. Wake Forest and Virginia Tech. Oh well, you know, a week ago I would have looked at this game and said Wake Forest, but Virginia Tech coming off that win at NC State. I mean, suddenly this changes a little bit. That being said, Wake Forest had Georgia Tech beat. I know it's in Blacksburg, but I'm taking Wake Forest.
You know, it's funny. We think alike because until last week I would have said Wake Forest because Wake Forest played NC State really close at home and should have won that game. And they obviously played Georgia Tech really close too. I think Virginia Tech is fired up for this game. They're coming off a big win. They're playing at home.
Yeah.
You know, I think Virginia Tech wins this game.
I took Wake, so I'm not thinking like, but yeah, but yeah, that's true. That should be close. Hard to tell early in the year with some of those games. This game, on the other hand, Vanderbilt at Alabama. I'd like to take Vanderbilt. If this game were in Nashville a year ago, I would have taken Vanderbilt to win this game against Bama. This year, I might if it was in Nashville, but because this game is at Bryant-Denny Stadium, they're in Tuscaloosa. Alabama lost to Vandy a year ago. Alabama's coming off a win at Georgia. They're confident. I think their schedule's been tougher than Vanderbilt's at this point. I'll take Alabama. Alabama's going to get revenge and win this game at home.
All right. I can't disagree with you there. I think I accidentally clicked out of the email I sent. I don't think they overlooked Vanderbilt this year. You know, last year they did.
No.
And I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think Alabama rolls.
Right. That brings us to the Swamp on Saturday, Texas at Florida. Here's my analysis on this game. I am not picking Florida until I make a coaching change because I cannot continue to watch this team play offense like this. And I'm not going to pick them because the game's in Gainesville, but it doesn't matter. Right now, this team seems to be a mess. I know they had a bye. I know it's in Gainesville, but I just don't have confidence that Florida can win this game, even at home. I'm taking Texas.
Where is your loyalty?
My loyalty is to – well, I'm wearing a Gators shirt. But I want to, loyalty is actually a team I want to watch.
But has Texas impressed you at all this year? Until last,
but Florida's worse. I mean, no. Texas
until they beat the crap out of whoever they played last week, they finally showed up as a real team.
Oh, that was like I don't know. Yeah, somebody.
They've been just struggling with their wins.
They beat Sam Houston. They beat
Florida's been off for 2 weeks. If DJ's healthy, I'm taking the Gators.
He's not healthy though. You already know that.
Well, if he plays, I'm saying.
See, the only thing too that I've seen Arch Manning is improving. I know who they play, but I don't think DJ Lagway is. I don't know. It's an interesting matchup, but you're going to take the Gators, right?
I'm taking the Gators.
All right, I'm taking Texas. Sorry, I just don't have any confidence in this team right now. Boise State at Notre Dame. Well, made the mistake of picking Arkansas to beat Notre Dame last week. I'm not going to do that again. Boise State got blown out at USF week 1. They're only a loss. I think Notre Dame's turned it around a bit the last 2 weeks. I'll take Notre Dame at home to beat Boise.
Since that loss to South Florida, Boise has not lost.
Who they played? Oh, they played. I saw the game. Appalachian State last week, which is a conference game. So
I'm picking Boise to win this
game.
game.
You really? Didn't you learn last week from Arkansas getting their, kick?
But that was a horrible team they played. I mean,
this is that Notre
team
Dame.
has given up.
Well,
You go back-to-back weeks losing on a fumble to Ole Miss and Memphis.
yeah,
That team did not
that's
even
true.
show up Saturday.
Yeah, that Memphis game was the end, right, for them. But yeah, okay, go ahead. I'm taking Notre Dame. You go with Boise. Washington at Maryland. Washington goes cross country. I tell you again, I made the mistake of picking Wisconsin beat Maryland a few weeks ago. Maryland, to me, looks pretty good. And this game's in College Park. Washington's got to go cross country. They didn't look very good against Ohio State offensively. I'm taking the Terps to win this game.
I remember during the basketball NCAA tournament when they won the national championship, the saying was "Fear the turtle,
Fear the turtle. Yes, fear the
fear
turtle.
the turtle,
Fear the turtle.
go Terps."
Terrapins, Maryland. Both take Maryland there. Virginia, Louisville. This is a good ACC game too here between these two. Virginia coming off a big win over FSU. Louisville coming off a win against Pitt. I would like to take Virginia here, but because this game is on the road, I don't think Virginia is going to be able to match the FSU intensity either. That game was at home. I'm going to take Louisville to win this game.
I agree with you. Louisville is undefeated. Louisville is playing well, and Louisville might be the best team in the ACC.
Outside of, well, yeah, I would say Miami, but yeah, that's true. They're going to play Miami later, so we'll see. Yep.
But Miami's only played. Have they played any conference games? I don't think
No.
so.
They played Florida, Notre Dame,
South Florida.
Thune-Cookman, and USF. Yeah. Yep, that's it so far. Okay, so both take Louisville. Syracuse at SMU. I learned my lesson last week picking Syracuse as they got blown out by Duke. They got to go to Dallas and play this game. SMU, not off to a great start, but I think SMU will win at home. Taking the Mustangs.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. I'm picking the Mustangs. I learned my lesson with Syracuse last week too.
Big Ten, Michigan State at Nebraska. Nebraska coming in off the loss to Michigan. It was a close game, their Big Ten opener. Michigan State lost to USC and their opener. Michigan State gave up a lot of points to USC in that game. Of course, that was also out in L.A. I think Nebraska's due to win one of these games, though, at home. I know you picked them against Michigan. I think Michigan, but I like Nebraska to bounce back here and win this game at home against Michigan State.
I saw Michigan State play
BC?
was it Boston College on
Yeah,
NBC. Somebody early in the season.
Yeah, they went to overtime.
I was really impressed with Michigan State. I'm going Michigan State.
Okay. There you go. Texas Tech at Houston. Yeah, here we go. Undefeated teams here. I tell you, all I got in my head about Texas Tech is they won at Utah like 31-3 or whatever a few weeks ago. This team's rolling. Their game's at Houston. Houston had to rally to beat Oregon State last week. I like Texas Tech on the road. I think the Red Raiders are a really good team.
Yeah, I was unimpressed with Houston having to come from behind to beat a winless Oregon State team. I was going to say the Cougars, but the Cougars are Houston. The Red Raiders.
Yes.
I like the Red Raiders to win this game.
Kansas at UCF. Another Big 12 game here. UCF at home in this game. Kansas lost to Cincinnati last week. That's a close game. UCF.
3-1, I think.
Yeah, they are. They're 3-1.
Their only loss was it Arizona State? No, Kansas State last week. I think.
That's not good. UCF?
That was in Kansas State in Manhattan.
That's not good. Kansas State hasn't been good at all this year. All right. Well, you just made up my mind. Kansas wins at UCF. I'm taking the Jayhawks. Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Can't disagree. Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Minnesota. Went away. Minnesota at Ohio State. No, Ohio State wins. I mean, this game's in Columbus. Minnesota 3-1, but they lost to Cal. That's only lost. Not a great schedule to start. Ohio State wins.
I want to pick Minnesota, but I can't. If this game was at Minnesota, I might lean towards Minnesota, but the fact that they went to the big house, I'm going with Ohio State.
Yeah, Ohio State there. There we go. Miami at FSU. I'm telling you that I think Florida State's going to make this game close, and it's in Tallahassee, but I like Miami because Miami looks – I just saw Miami beat down Notre Dame and Florida. I think Miami is the better team. I think even though it's in Tallahassee, Miami's going to win this game.
I was really impressed with Miami's defense.
Yeah.
They played well against Florida. They played well against obviously South Florida.
Yeah, it's true. South Florida. Notre Dame, they look pretty
Notre
good. Yeah.
Dame. Offense was kind of, as Carson Beck goes, the offense goes. It's the only time I root for them. I never
Miami.
root for the other team in this game.
Yeah.
Give me the Hurricanes.
All right. Both have the Hurricanes there. 3 more games. Mississippi State at Texas A&M. I want to take Mississippi State in this game. I really do.
Pull the trigger.
Texas A&M is a tough place to play, though. And we both picked Auburn last week for some reason. It's clear, though, that A&M's defense is pretty good, but their offense hasn't really been great. So I think Mississippi State has been pretty impressive. And they probably should have beat Tennessee last week. You know what? I am going to take Mississippi State. Normally, I would never take them to win on the road, but I'm taking the Bulldogs of Mississippi State.
Well, with that said, I was going to lean towards the opposite of whatever you said. So I would take ATM,
Okay.
as I like to call them, because they're playing at home. And that is
ATM.
a tough place to play. I've always just called them ATM because when you abbreviate them, you can put basically ATM.
You said you wanted to go the opposite?
Whatever you said.
Oh,
You
so if
pick
I take an A&M, you're
Mississippi
taking Mississippi State?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Why?
Well, because we're only separated by 2 games, so.
That's true. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be tough there, but I think Mississippi State's playing well.
And Mississippi State played really well against Tennessee.
Yeah.
And had a chance to tie the game and force another overtime.
Yeah.
If they convert that fourth down pass in the end zone.
All right. Colorado at TCU. Horned Frogs coming off the loss to Arizona State. Good ball game. Colorado struggling. Lost to BYU. TCU wins at home. Colorado.
Yeah, this is no comparison here. TCU is going to roll in this game.
Final game, that ACC West Coast game. As we said, Duke at Cal. This is an interesting ball game. Cal 4-1. Duke's 2-0 in the conference. I like the way Duke's playing. I know they got to go. I know it's tough going out west and playing this kind of game, but this is like the Brain Bowl too for colleges. Duke and Cal. But Duke played Stanford too. It's like that too. I'm taking Duke to win this game.
All right. Well, I think having to go to the West Coast and play just like the NFL.
It's tough.
There's like a curse in the NFL where if you have to go to the West Coast, teams struggle. Although the Jags did win in San Fran this past week or the week before.
Surprising.
But it is very tough to go from the West Coast to the East Coast, East Coast to the West Coast. I'm going with Cal.
Yeah, I could see that. That's kind of what I think.
So
too.
we have 6 different games.
Cool. It's good. Good difference there. I felt like it was more than that, but okay.
No, 7. 7.
Say, I thought we had more.
7.
Okay, well, we'll see next week how we did. We'll see this weekend how we did, but we'll be talking about it next Wednesday again. A little bit after 10 o'clock, so we went a little bit over. A lot of games to talk about this week, but we'll be back next week, 9 to about 10 o'clock. And don't forget our high school football report from 8 to 9 here on North Florida Sports Talk. We appreciate, again, Beat for Brady's and Stark for allowing us to come out and do the show. And also thanks for Crutchfield helping me some with production as he usually does during the week. And for Corey Davis, I'm Marty Pallman saying so long. I'm sure Corey will enjoy the games this weekend. I will. Hope everyone else does this too that's watching. We'll talk to you again next Wednesday night, 9 to 10, for the North Florida College Football Gridiron Report. So long and good night from Stark.